Thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to be here and have a chat about the course. It's my favorite thing to do.
Um, you know, I'm always amazed. I don't know why I'm still amazed, but I'm always amazed at the wholehearted, gracious yes that I get from course students. When I ask them if they'd come up, there's just this enthusiasm for sharing that is universal across the board.
Hmm.
And it was the same when I asked, when I asked you. Um, there was just no hesitation. It was, I'd love to. Um, and I really appreciate that. It shows how much.
I can tell you why.
Sure.
It's changed our lives to such a degree, and we know that it alleviates suffering. And the more people we can share that with, that's really our mandate, is to help people stop suffering. And so when someone says, I don't have a very big podcast, I've only got, 1,000 people or whatever the number is, if you can change one mind in this world, it's a powerful thing. So that's kind of what I always think.
Such a powerful prayer in the course. I am here. I am here only to be truly helpful,
Mhm.
and I love how um, I love how you actually live it. And I see it on your Facebook page. I see it on your website. I see it on your YouTube page that you are truly here um, to be helpful.
I wouldn't be alive without the course. That's one of the reasons. The course came to me in my early 40s after my second divorce, and I was done with the world. And if it had not come to me, I don't think I'd be alive, to be perfectly honest. So it's sort of, I'm living on the time that the course gave me. So the least I can do is share it.
I do know. I have a similar story as well with that. A decade self-destructive drinking streak, over a decade. Um, Reading the course, putting the course away, reading the course. Um, Little did I know, every time I put it away and restarted, that I was planting seeds, and those seeds would sprout out to a wonderful moment when I was given a choice of sobriety, and without hesitation and with no struggle, I stepped into a brand new life.
Mhm.
And then the course opened up full time for me, and it's been an amazing journey ever since.
This is a tough place here. This is a place of separation and fear. And the course, anyone who's done the course, truly done the course, knows uh, what a simple but incredibly difficult thing it is to practice. And I think that many people I talk to have had the course on their shelf for 20 years. It's just sitting there waiting for when they're ready for it. And you do literally have to be ready for it. If you're not ready for it, you can't do it. And I think the ready for it often is you're so sick of the bullshit that you've created for yourself that you know you need help, and you've tried everything you know how to do and it hasn't worked. And so all of us become teachable at a certain point in our incarnation. For some lucky people it's in their 20s or 30s. For other people it's their 40s, 50s, 60s, before they realize that what they're doing isn't working, and there must be something they don't know because they keep doing the same thing over and over.
I think that's imperative, what you said, that the course really starts to work when we accept responsibility for the conditions that we created. We're no longer blaming life that why is life so hard for me? But as you said, why am I making life so difficult for myself?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's a huge step. I don't think most people accept responsibility when they first pick the course up. I think they're still, your ego's in full control well, obviously not in full control because you're picking the course up. But I think as you go through the lessons, you become very well aware. And this is what the realization that came to me as I was doing those lessons in that first year, was that my mind was crazy and that I was causing the problems. But when you first pick it up, it's your ex-boyfriend or your ex-wife or your current wife or whatever, or the government that's causing all the problems. But as you go through that, I'm getting some feedback there. Can you hear that?
Is it like a buzzing?
No, it sounds like people talking in the background.
Oh, that might be someone downstairs.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Okay.
that won't be long. They're going to work. Um,
Oh,
and I
okay.
probably
All right.
put on the TV.
Okay. So I think that's a thing that comes as you study the course, this realization that you're responsible for the whole darn experience that you're having. And it's a humbling experience, because the ego's favorite thing is to make other people guilty, and it's not your fault. And it's your mum's fault or your dad's fault or whatever. But the truth of the matter is, we are the ones that we're experiencing our own consciousness all the time. And that's really the biggest message, I think, of the course, is that we're experiencing our own consciousness. And as you change your mind through the lessons and through the practice, your world starts to change. And that's when this idea that this experience is a dream. How can the world change when you change your mind? It doesn't make sense, right? Given Newtonian physics and simple cause and effect. But the truth of the matter is that is what happens as you change your mind, as you become less judgmental and more forgiving. Everything around you changes, and it's an intimidating thing as well,
Right.
because I think a lot of people go into the course afraid of losing things they love or afraid of losing things they want. But the truth of the matter is, in my life, I've never lost anything that I've loved. I've only lost the bullshit things that I was playing with or thinking about. And yeah.
So the fact that we're responsible for the mess we find ourselves in is actually good news, because that means that the solution is also within us at the same
That's
time.
right. That's right. And that's why the course is so powerful, because it teaches you that you're the captain of your ship. And of course, that's what none of us are taught. None of us are taught that. We're taught that we're one person, one vote, everyone's in charge of us, from our families and religions to our governments. But the truth of the matter is, you do have the ability to create a world that is of a frequency that you choose. And the more you listen to Jesus or the Holy Spirit, however you want to word it, the more you don't indulge in your ego's desires, then the better it gets. And if you're willing to do that for a year, which is essentially what the lessons are, right? You One of the things that Jesus says in the channelings, he says, if you're 400 pounds and you've overeaten and you're very overweight, and you see someone running by, I'm still hearing those voices. Are you hearing them?
I am hearing them.
Okay.
It should be over in just a bit.
Oh, okay. I don't know. It's bothering.
That's
Um,
fine.
if you see someone running past your house who's fit and trim, and you're 400 pounds sitting on the couch, and you stop them and you go, I want what you have. I don't want what I have anymore. I'm suffering here. And they may say to you, well, I'm a personal trainer. I can help you. And you go, great, great. What do I have to do? And they say, well, you have to do as I tell you for a year. You have to listen to me for a year, not your mind. You have to do what I tell you. If you do what I tell you, you will get the results that I've gotten. And that's really you have to have come to that place in your life where you are suffering more than you can handle and you don't want to do it anymore. And I think when we listen to it in the terms of the overweight person with a fitness trainer, it's logical. You're right. Yeah, I can't keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to get the same results. Well, Jesus is the trainer. He's the trainer in the Course in Miracles. He's asking you to spend 365 days with him and doing what he asks you. And on some days, it's very little. What he's asking you is very little. Just like if you weigh 400 pounds and you've got to walk around the block, that's not that much to do, right? But you're going to have
Right.
to walk around the block.
And even 365 days, even a year, is very little um, in the span of our lifetime, in the
Yeah.
span of maybe multiple lifetimes. There's
Yeah.
a great line in the back of the Gita that says, even a little bit of effort on the spiritual path is never wasted. It goes a long ways.
Yeah.
Perhaps lifetimes.
Yeah, and also, the idea of, if you're going in a particular direction, if you change that trajectory by 1 degree, over time, that 1 degree is going to take you in a completely different direction, right?
Right. I love that the great line in the course that says our tolerance for pain may be high, but it's not without limits.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, uh, we get that same question that Bill had, for Helen, that there must be a better way,
Yeah.
or even just pleading, show me a better way. Show me anything other than what I'm experiencing right now. That there's a way out of this. Um, and the course, I think the course finds us. I don't know if we find the course. I think the course is. Um,
I think from Spirit's point of view, um, when we're not open, when we're still determined that if we do what we do, we just need to do what we do harder. Spirit knows that we'll wait for that one. I think once we start to fall to our knees, once we start to say those words, there must be a better way. Spirit's right there, and that's the small crack, right? We have this armor, we have this ego consciousness that has been so fed in our society and by our cultures and families and all of that. Once that little crack appears, then the Holy Spirit can work with us, and the more willing we become, and as we start to see shifts and changes. I remember when I picked the course up, well, I didn't pick it up, my sister bought it. We were on a long journey up to going over a Canadian mountain pass in the winter. We were following a snowplow. It was terrible. And we stopped in a bookstore to take a break once we'd traversed this big mountain. And she went in, got coffee. I got coffee. I came back to the car, and she got in the car and she said, I don't know why I bought this. You should read it. And it was the course. And so
uh,
she literally threw it on my lap. But it was the worst time in my life. It was the worst time in my life when that book literally landed in my lap. And as soon as I started to read it, I could feel something happening. Now, I guess with my arrangement with Jesus to do the work that I do with him, I've got a bit of a different relationship perhaps with the course. It was my time to go full on into the course. But as soon as I started to read it, I could feel physical things happening in my head. I could feel things like being adjusted. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what the course was, but I was like, what's going on here? And the first night I read it, I had a sort of prophetic dream, and very, very quickly, I started to have unusual experiences. And I thought to myself, it must be this book I'm reading, because I had no computer, no phone, and no television. I did not know what the course was. So it was very different than the experience most people are having now. Most people now they're immediately online. There's a million videos. But I had this sort of unique experience of just me and the course and nothing else. And that's why I would say it must be this book, because I couldn't stop reading it. And it literally, I became obsessed with it. I didn't read anything else for 4 years. But the reason that happened is because I was having these very unusual spiritual experiences. And I'd been reading spiritual books for 25 years. I wasn't a newbie in any way, shape, or form, but I'd never had experiences like I did when I first started reading the course. So I knew it was that book because I had been reading spiritual books for such a long time.
was it Jesus right away for you? Was there any struggle in accepting that this is the voice of Jesus? Um, or did you find that comforting that, yes, this is Jesus?
No, I was one of those I would say I was a spiritual person, but I was never I never would have I didn't really have an alignment with Jesus. I had an alignment with spirituality, I would say, as an experience. I grew up in a spiritualist household in England. So we went to go and see psychics and channelers and automatic writers when I was a child. So I grew up understanding that spirit speaks to us all the time, and that life after death is there, and all of that. So I had no traditional religious teaching at all, and I tried to go to church twice and walked out. It felt like bullshit to me what they were teaching. It didn't resonate with me at all. Um, but as a young woman, I did have an overwhelming urge to read the Bible several times, and I wanted to study comparative religions. So I had this in me, this idea of religion and spiritual, but I wanted to do it on an academic level. I never did. I studied archaeology at university, as it turned out. But with the Course, I did not know what it was. I did not know that Jesus was the voice of the Course when I picked it up. I had no idea what it was. And it wasn't until I was reading the text and he started saying things like my crucifixion. And I was like, well, hang on a second. Who is this? And that was the first inkling I had that it was Jesus. So I went in completely naive, not knowing what it was. And because I didn't have any resentments with Jesus through any kind of negative religious experience. And obviously, apparently I knew him in his incarnation on earth. That's what they told me when they first came through. I didn't have any resistance to it being him other than, well, that's cool. That's cool. So I'd been reading channel books for many, many years. Channel books were my favorite thing. So the idea that Jesus channeled this book did not ruffle my feathers at all.
Right.
Not at all. Not at all. So I'd been deeply into Abraham Hicks, Bashar, all of the well-known channelers. I was reading the Jane Roberts and Seth in my early 20s, so many, many decades ago. So channeling was my favorite form, and I would dream about channeling. I remember that. So it was not, the channeling part didn't faze me at all, and the Jesus part didn't faze me at all. Not until he actually came through, which was many, many years later. He didn't come through until I'd been doing the course for 12 years. So
I wanted to ask you about that because one of the things that really had me want to get you on and talk to you, besides, as I mentioned backstage, my partner Kat's insistence, you got to get Tina. You got to get Tina.
Kat.
Was before Christmas on your Facebook page, you posted a video on an intense practice of forgiveness between you and someone, that there was a lot of resentment in both ways.
Yep.
But you knew it was causing you a lot of damage. You wanted to heal it.
Yep.
And you had a prayer, which was a wonderful prayer. I give this relationship to the Holy Spirit so that we both might be free.
Mm-hmm.
And you would keep coming back to it, no matter how many times that person came.
100 times a day. 100 times a day.
And that was the trigger that
Yep.
sparked the Kundalini,
mm-hmm.
spontaneous Kundalini awakening, which also altered your consciousness to allow you to open up as a channel, right?
Yeah, that's my understanding. That was what the resentment had been there for such a long time. And when I say resentment, this doesn't mean that the person has done anything wrong. It's just how our minds work. It picks a scapegoat it's gonna blame. It could be your mother, it could be your father, it could be a teacher, it could be somebody who abused you when you were a child, whatever. But because I'd been doing the course for 12 years at that point, I knew that my mind was the problem. It was repeatedly blaming this person for, this person was, let's say, taking up space in my head all the time. And so I made a promise to myself that I would get rid of this resentment. I knew, because I was a Course in Miracles student, I knew that it was a resentment. I knew my ego was using it to attack somebody. And I was so sick of it. This was years and years and years of forgiveness practice and this person was still in my mind. I just took the bit in my teeth and I said, I'm getting rid of this. I'm getting rid of this. And the way I knew how to do this was to pray about it, was to offer it up to the Holy Spirit and Jesus so that they could do it, because I couldn't seem to do it, and to refuse to tell the story that my ego wanted to tell. So that was really how I used the prayer. When that image came up in my mind of the person who my ego wanted to attack or judge or make guilty, I would say the prayers. So please heal my perception so that I can see the truth, and I hand this relationship over to the Holy Spirit so we can both be free. And I would suggest to anyone that's got a resentment that's exactly what you do. When the person comes up in your mind that you want to attack, and it's very easy these days, we've got some wonderful subjects in social media about whom we can pray. Instead of going down the rabbit hole with the ego mind into judgment, and this person's bad, this person's guilty, they shouldn't be doing this, as soon as they show up in your mind, you go, I'm not telling the story. I want to tell the story. I hand this relationship, because you have a relationship with a character, even if they're on your social media screen, you have a relationship with them. You hate them. Let's say it's a special relationship. You stop yourself telling the story. They shouldn't be doing this. They're bad. This is going to hurt me, or whatever the story is. You stop yourself telling the story and you say, please heal my perception so I can see the truth. Every single being is loved by the divine. Every single being is loved in the eyes of God. That's the truth. Whether you believe it or not, that is the truth. And then to hand the relationship over. But what you will find is if the ego has picked a certain person to hate, you will have to interfere in that thought process constantly at first, because you've been indulging in this special relationship of hatred, let's say, or judgment. For you maybe have had a thought about this person 1,000,000 times. So you literally have, neural pathways with that person's name on it, And so that's what I decided in that 6 months before I started to open to channel, was that I was going to get rid of this resentment. And so that's what I did. I refused to tell the story that my mind wanted to tell. And I would say those prayers. And I would say there were days that it would be 100 times a day. And that sounds crazy, but it's no less crazy than having a mind filled with a resentment.
And you said you used the word indulging, and that's really a key point, is we are indulging in a behavior and a thought system that we think is bringing us something, that we're getting some kind of positivity out of it, but in fact, it's literally destroying us.
Well, it is the very behavior, judgment, as Jesus said, judge them for they know not what they do. Judgment is the thing that keeps the separation going. And separation is where we suffer. So it's a very simple law of physics. If you judge, you will suffer. And Jesus said that too, judge that ye be not judged, right? If you judge someone, you're going to suffer. And we people are taught that in the traditional Christian church, not to judge, but they think their mind is private. They think that all of the judgmental thoughts they have about Donald Trump or cryptocurrency or their own body, whichever, it doesn't matter what you're judging, it doesn't matter. They do not understand that when you're judging, you are separating and therefore you will suffer. And that in not judging, you will not lose anything, you will gain. But the way the ego works, it says to you, if you don't judge this person, you're going to lose. If you don't judge this person's going to walk all over you. If you don't judge your body, you are going to get fatter. Whatever it is, it always tells you that if you don't judge, you are going to lose. And so when Jesus through the course tells you to stop judging, every single thing you've ever thought and been taught is the opposite of that. We've been taught the opposite of that you should judge. And so whether it's you're in a religion where you're judging other religions, where you're a certain sex and you're judging the opposite sex, where you're poor and you're judging rich people, you're beautiful and you're judging ugly people, it doesn't matter. And this is the thing, everyone will have their subject, right? They cannot be judgmental about certain things. But when you get the subject, that's your idol, you will not want to stop judging. And that's the place I got to. That one place, that one person, that one thing that I couldn't seem to let go of, that was what I decided to tackle full on for 6 months. And that's what led to, I believe, that's what led to the Kundalini awakening.
Do you think that was prearranged, that you and this person had a soul contract.
Yeah, I
She
think
was going to
so.
be your
Yeah,
teacher.
I think so. The relationship has it was my sister, actually, a younger sister, and our relationship was troubled and combative right from the beginning. And it's neither of our faults, I don't think. I think we came in, and how ironic that she was the one that bought the course for me that day. And when
Yeah.
she threw it on my lap, that was the sister. And it's been an ongoing challenge for many years. And I truly believe that the person that you hate, the person that is the one that is the difficult one for you, is the biggest gift that you've been given, because they're the one that make you suffer, and they're the one that will get on your nerves so much that you end up being willing to forgive them just to get them out of your head.